I'm Karen. I'm with the Peterborough, the Manager of Membership Services. So there's actually a few faces that I don't know, so that's wonderful to see. Fresh blood, as I like to put it in the room. If you've already put your card in, well done. If you haven't put your business card in here, there's going to be opportunities later to do that. And what I wanted to remind you is these cards all go into our Love Local Peterborough overall. That's been a year-long campaign where we've been encouraging people to shop locally, keep your town in business by keeping your business in town, and stay off that internet. Really, come on, shop local. So at the end of the year, there's a prize. You can spend $1,000 at one of the sponsors for that campaign. So there isn't a big long bio for Peter Thomas, and he doesn't have one either. So without further ado, as they say, let's crack on. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks. Well, thanks for braving the elements today and coming out. And hopefully this hour is going to be fruitful for you. Some of you brought a nice lunch. We sort of understated the number of things that you can learn, and given the short period of time we have today, we certainly won't be going through everything you can learn, but be free to contact us for any additional information. And in particular, 10 was just an easy round number. Does it go off by itself? Sorry. Battery's dead.
It worked a few minutes ago.
Alright, so
Okay. So Karen said that we didn't have a bio. I'm certainly not going to go through our bios. I'm with an associate here of mine, Christine Janas. We've both been in sales and marketing and business development, sales management for a long time, and we leverage that experience every day in our digital marketing lives. Go ahead, please, Christine. Nope, the other way. And then one more. So, as it was advertised by the Chamber, social media is of interest to you all, and there was 35 registrants for this, and whether the weather deterred some of you or not, but it just goes to show you the importance of social media today. And as you probably are well aware, Canada is a very connected country. And in terms of the internet, as you can see, there's a good percentage of us that use the internet every day. And almost as astounding as that is how many of us use social media. Almost half of Canadians use social media on a regular basis. And the thing that I find even more surprising, in a way, is that the average Canadian spends about 2 hours a day on social media. Go ahead, Christine. So, in today's digital marketing world, it's important to be aware of what's going on, and it's not unlike anything else. It's not unlike defensive driving, knowing what's going on around you. But in terms of being aware of what's going on, some of the trends that are happening, what trends are specific to your business, to your target market, and what's going on with your competitors. And so as you can see here, this is just a small snippet of some of the things that are going on today. But for example, visuals receive the highest engagement on Facebook. Now intuitively, you probably know that visuals get a lot of interest, even of yourself. In terms of the snippets of information that we all try to get from so many different sources, we're attracted to it I shouldn't say like incense to light, but anyways, I didn't mean to call you incense. Nonetheless, we are attracted to pictures, the shiny objects in the room, and videos. Go ahead, Christine. So let's take a quick poll. How many folks in here, one click please. Is it working yet? Oh, okay, great, thank you. I just went to sleep, I guess. So, by a show of hands, how many of you are on social media today to promote your business? Exactly, I figured many. And in terms of those that have more than one social media platform, how many of you have more than one? Look at this, yeah? And so that's indicative of the power of social media today. So which platform do you think is the most popular for promoting one's business today? Any ideas? Is it Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter? Facebook, Twitter, okay. it suffices to say that depending on the nature of your business, it's also behooves you to pick the appropriate platform to promote your business accordingly. So in a worldwide poll of a significant number of marketers, you'll see that Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn are in positions 1, 2, and 3. But again, that's not necessarily to suggest that you ought to jump on the Facebook bandwagon. For example, with Pinterest, and this is what I was talking about with regard to the trends. Things are changing all the time in digital marketing, and in particular with social media. For example, Facebook today announced that they're releasing news. Apple is about to bring news elements to their feed in Canada, and so forth. So every day, these social media platforms are coming out with something new. But Pinterest used to be targeted, or not necessarily targeted, but embraced by women from a certain age group. And then, as you can see from this, men have jumped on that bandwagon. So if you have a product or a service that's pictorial in nature, Pinterest might be an ideal platform for you to leverage. We talked about video a moment ago, or visuals. Video has gone nuts. And so you're all familiar with YouTube. As a matter of fact, this is being recorded today and put on the Chamber's YouTube channel. But having said that, it's been around for about 10 years. And inside of the first 2 to 3 years, YouTube became the number 2 search engine behind Google in the world. And that was only after 2 to 3 years. So here we have, this phenomenon is not changing. Video, you'll notice when you go on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, video is really coming about. And so it's gone, to use the expression, it's gone viral. 4 billion views per day in Q1 of 2015. They're up from 1 billion in 2014. It's just going crazy. And so it's important for you to be on video, to use video, leverage video in your social properties, your web properties. But also, this is where you start to, and we're going to draw in the competitive aspect of things, look and see what your competitors are doing with the likes of that medium. So on a day-to-day basis, whether it's the internet, or whether it's social media, whether it's bricks and mortar stores, advertising and so on, you compete for a number of things. And you compete, obviously you have competitors. It would be nice to say that none of us have any competitors, but we all do. At least I would imagine that we do. And so, is their brand more prominent than yours? The content that you work so hard to create and put out on your digital properties, your web properties, how does that compare to your competitors? And so there are a lot of tools, and Christine's going to touch on some of those in a few minutes. There are a lot of tools available to help you, if you will, spy on what your competition is doing and learn appropriately and morph their ideas into something that's better for you. Prospect engagement and so forth. But at the end of the day, the ultimate thing is the web, or in this particular case, social media. Is it growing your business? Is it increasing your business? Or your competitors eating your lunch, in a manner of speaking? Lunch up? No.
I liked it. I got it. Yeah.
I didn't even get a smirk out of you.
I was thinking that I didn't bring my lunch.
I didn't mean to remind you. Maybe somebody else should. So there's all kinds of things that you can learn by surfing the internet or using tools on the internet to find out what your competition is doing. How do you rank in simple organic search as opposed to, say, paid advertising search? Does your competitor have a better social presence than you do? And you won't know unless you go and investigate accordingly. But you can. In the digital marketing world, you can find out exactly what your competitor is doing. Brand. How strong is your brand versus the competition? And again, users. Are they engaged? Are your users less engaged versus your competition? And you can tell by some of the things that Christine will talk about in a few minutes. You can tell exactly how. Is the content, for example, let's say you work really hard on putting together content for your particular business and you post your various web properties, but it doesn't get quite the reaction you want it to, but your competitor's content is going viral. Why is that? Well, maybe they did it in a more creative way than you did, and you can learn from them to see what they're doing. Advertising. Years ago, in advertising, you couldn't tell how much your competitor was advertising. You couldn't tell how much they spent. Well, in the digital world, you can. And you can, just by keeping your ear to the ground, understand what new products and services your competitors are introducing. And it's not just a matter of all manual. You can get automatic ways in which, and Christine will touch on those, in which you can find out what your competition is doing. So at this juncture, I'd like to hand it over to my colleague, Christine. And I'd like to mention, folks, thank you. I'd like to mention, folks, that Christine loves interaction. So if you've got any questions or any comments that you want to raise at any moment in time, feel free. This is for you.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christine Ganas with WSI, Peter's colleague, and I love social media. And I never thought I would have said that maybe even 18 months ago, but now it's my world, it's my business. And I love helping businesses grow their business because of social media. So show of hands again of who's on social media. All right, keep your hand up if you think you're active on social media. All right, I saw a couple hands go down. Because the key is being active. So you can have all of your channels set up. You can have a Facebook page, a Twitter account. But if you're not active, it's like going into a networking room and there's nobody there to network with. Okay? So it's actually worse to have social channels set up and not using them, because Google knows you've got that web presence and they don't see activity, so they think you've shut down. So it could actually be a detriment to you. So if you've got it, use it. So I feel sorry for Peter, because Peter got the boring part of the presentation today. I get the 10 tips of using social media, or how to use social media to beat your competition. And my goal today is for you guys to leave, go back to your office or your business and be all excited about social media and say, I need to do this and I need to do it now. Okay, that's my goal. So out of the 10 tips, I'm sure there is one in this presentation that will make you run to your office. So the first thing is, I want you guys to understand what Google is. We all know Google as a company, but what most people don't know is how powerful Google is. So we're not feeling well. What do? We go and Google our symptoms to self-diagnose ourselves. And all of a sudden, you know what, this is what I need to take, and you run off to the drugstore. I say lawyer or professor because, again, you know what, we have a question, we're not sure, we go and Google, and all of a sudden we find all kinds of information to answer our question. So Google has become our source of information. Don't go to the library so much anymore or look at encyclopedias, it's all Google. The one thing that is not up here, though, is I call Google Big Brother. And I say that because Google knows everything you do online. Trust me, they know. They know what you look at, what page you're looking at, how you got there, what words you used to do your search, how long you looked at each page, where you move your mouse on that page. Okay? They know everything, and that stays in their big database so that when you do your next search, it can serve you back some good results based on your past searches. Okay? So Big Brother, trust me, they know everything. So that immense database of information about every user and what you look at and what your customers are looking at on your page is stored. And basically Google allows us marketers and business owners to use that data to do good marketing. In the old days of marketing, you put an ad in the paper, you didn't know what the return was on it. With digital marketing, you do. So there's a big difference. But you need to keep Google happy. So for your online presence, as an example, your website, Google will judge your website against about 200 criteria. So there's a list that's kept in the Google Vault. They don't really divulge that list, except for little bits and pieces here and there. There's 200 criteria they're going to judge your website against. And that's how you get on page one. So if you meet as many of their criteria as you can versus your competitors, when somebody searches for your business, they will display you on page one. Out of the 200, I mean, it's impossible to stay on top of those 200 because they change them all the time, but there's 4 that we know are really important to Google. The first one is content. So what is on your website? Okay? Is the content fresh, meaning have you put new information? Do you refresh it on a regular basis? So having a website that you built 4 years ago and never touched it again is not good. Okay? Google will actually put a black check mark against you because of that, because they like to see fresh content. So having something added to your website on a regular basis is a good thing. It's easy to do. Write a blog. Every time you add a blog, it's one new page on your website. So great way to keep your content fresh. The quality of your content. Okay? Very important to Google. So making sure that what is on that web page, the content describes what you're about. Because you have to remember, Google is smart, but it's also not that smart. It is a machine after all, it's software. So you need to be very descriptive with your content. Don't assume that because you know what it means that Google will. Because if Google does not understand your terms, they're not going to display your website. Okay? Freshness, we talked about quantity. Okay, quantity is very important. So having 3 pages on your website, not a good thing either. Because it's very difficult for Google to understand what is your business about with just 3 pages. So ideally, you probably want at least 500 words per page. And when you're building that content, you need to think of your keywords. And that's a great exercise for any business owner to do. Create a list of what you think your keywords are. And even if you're just somebody in sales, okay, keep a list of your keywords because this is what represents you or your business. Keep that list continually updated because keywords will change. As things change, new technology comes out, sometimes our words for something specific changes into something else. And you need to adapt that into your website. Okay, so your keywords, very important, adapted into the content of your website. And then it has to be relevant. So if your website URL or address says, you know what, sports camp, and the content of your website is about something completely different, there is no relevance, and Google will penalize you for that. So those are the 4 things that are really key when it comes to your content on your website. Okay? So we talked about keywords already. Being mobile ready. So April 21st of this year was a big day for us in digital marketing where Google did a massive upgrade to their algorithm. So if your website is not mobile responsive, okay, the odds are that they will not display it. Okay, so it's important to be mobile ready. And would you believe that over 80% of Canadian websites still today are not mobile responsive? So there's a chance for you to differentiate yourself from your competitors. If your website is mobile responsive, Google will display it over websites that are not. And then the last thing that we know is really important to Google is your social presence. Because you might have a great website, it might look great, great information on it, but your social presence will help you drive traffic to that website. Okay? Think of it of your online brochure. If you had a brochure and you went into the forest and nailed it to a tree, but nobody walked by the tree beside your brochure is not seen by anybody. Your website's the same. So the idea is to build a great website that meets Google's requirements, and then you need to push traffic to it, because if nobody sees it, it's pointless. And social media will do that for you. It's actually one of the highest channels for website traffic. So trust me, your competitors that are being shown on page 1 of your result page know this, and they apply it to their web presence. Okay, any questions about this? Okay. Number 2, competitor intelligence. So we all know we're in business. It's important to understand your competition, what they're good at, what their weaknesses are. So you're trying always to be better than them. It's the same thing with online. And I have to caution you that as a local business, don't think that the competition on Main Street, and I'm just using Main Street as the competition down the road or in your neighborhood, is your online competition. Because it is likely very different. So don't make the assumption that if you're a dentist, you know what, in this area, that another dental clinic half a kilometer away is your online competitor. Because it's likely it's not. So it's important to understand who your online competition is. So a lot of my customers will say, well, I know I'm on page 1. I go and Google myself, my business all the time, dentist in Brampton, and I always come up on page 1. Well, I guess I've got news for you guys, okay? Because Google knows your web browsing history. When you go and do a search for your business, Google says, well, you know what? He's looking for a dental clinic in Peterborough. He's always gone to this website, so Google will display back that website to you on page 1. It does not mean that your business is on page 1. Big, big difference. And it's important you understand that because so many business owners think, I don't need to do anything about my social presence. I am on page 1. Guess what? you're not. And the only way you're going to determine that is if you go and delete all of your cookies on your computer and completely clear all of that out so that Google does not know your browsing history. Or if you use Chrome, there's a little app on Chrome called Incognito Window. So if you look at the web page on the very top right, there's a little gray box with 3 little black bars. Click on that and go to Incognito Window. And when you're doing your search from an incognito window, Google has no idea what you've looked at in the past. So now, pardon me?
Can you please spell it out? Incognito?
Incognito. I-N-C-O-G-N-I-T-O. Incognito. So it's almost like searching or surfing undercover. Okay? So now go to that window and search for your business. Not by your business name, but your type of industry. So if you're a building center, look for a building center in Peterborough and see what comes up. That will truly determine where you stand online. And you're going to see who your competition is. Okay, so that's a good exercise that you should all be doing. Google your services or products. See if your website comes up on page 1. And if it doesn't, guess what? Who cares that it's on page 2 or 3 because nobody ever goes there. So you do need to be on page 1. That's what your target should be. So evaluate your online presence versus your competitors. Make sure you understand that. Because trust me, the people that are on page 1, for whatever business they're in, they get that. And they work at it every month. They've probably hired a firm to do that for them. Because they understand the importance of being on page 1. There's a tool that I love. It's called Google Alerts. Has anybody ever heard of it or used it? A couple people. All right. It's free. It's a free tool from Google. Just go on Google and say Google Alerts, and then a page will come up, and then you start entering terms. So I would suggest to set up Google Alerts for your name, so that anytime somebody mentions you by name on the internet, you will get an alert from Google saying you've been mentioned on the internet. Okay? I do it for my kids, so I know if they're mentioned anywhere on the internet, I get notice. Okay?
And also for your competitors.
Yeah, so set up Google Alerts for each one of your competitors' names, okay? Your products, anything that's related to your business, so that if anything happens online, you get an immediate alert from Google. So if there's a new article, they publish a new blog, anything, and it's one of those terms that you set up a Google Alert for, you will be notified. So it's a great way to stay on top of what's going on online. It just comes to you. You really don't have anything to do beyond setting it up originally. Okay? Go check out Google Alerts. And the thing that I found with digital marketing is, you know what? It's never boring. Be ready to change. Because tomorrow, things are going to be different. You learn how to post on Facebook today by doing these 3 steps. Next week, it could be slightly different. It's constantly changing. So don't get comfortable thinking that, all right, I've done what Christine said I should do, I'm done. Don't. You continually need to keep doing it. Okay? Number 3, trust me, your competitors understand their buyers. Because again, if you're going to be on Facebook or on Twitter and you're posting and your audience or your customers are not there, who cares? Oops, you've just wasted your time and energy. So you need to understand your buyers. Okay? Are your buyers on Twitter? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Pinterest, Instagram? Where are they? Okay? You know for your business when you go networking at networking events, you target specific events sometimes based on your geography because you know that's where your buyers are. Or maybe it's a specific industry association and event. You go there because you know your buyers are there. You need to do the same on social media. You need to understand when they are on social media. Okay? Because if you're posting to Facebook at 9 a.m. and your buyers don't get to go on Facebook until 8 p.m., guess what? Your post is now so far down in their timeline, they'll never see it. So you need to make sure that you set your posts and you're active on social media when they are. You don't go to a networking event that's set up at 6 p.m. and you show up at 2 p.m. because you know nobody will be there. Same thing. You need to be on when they are. And there are tools. Facebook Insights as an example. If anybody's looked at that, there's a great deal of information that you can use to understand your customers, what day they're on, what time of the day they're on, and you post accordingly. Okay? So understand your customer and their behavior, because again, your competitor, they figured that out. And that's why they've got high engagement. That's why they're getting a lot of good social media presence, because they post at the appropriate time. Number 4, we talked a little bit about content already. Content, you know what they used to say, it was all about, you know what, keywords and making sure your website has a lot of keywords, and then people were stuffing keywords in their website. Well, Google now penalizes you for that, and they really want you to focus on good quality content. And content, you know what, can come in several shapes and forms, from blogs. Sometimes it could just be a picture, a quote. And you know what, there's a lot of great free tools out there, and you know, you're going to get some of these, and I have a full list of other tools that I use for my business that are free, that help me create this content. Infographics are great. Videos. I have to tell you that videos right now is massive, because Facebook is trying to kick YouTube to the curb. Okay? And they're really pushing videos. So videos on Facebook is great. Now, don't think that because you've taken a link from YouTube and posted on your Facebook page is great. It is good because it is a video, but you're taking it from YouTube. But if you take your own video and basically take that video and post it on your Facebook page, now it's your own native video. Huge difference between the two. So it's better that you do that rather than take a YouTube URL. Okay? And with your content, you always aim to be unique, because you never want to duplicate content that's somewhere else on the internet, because you will get majorly penalized by Google. And trust me, there's tools that scan the internet all day long to look for duplicate content. Okay? So don't think that you can take the easy way out and go and copy and paste bits and pieces of somebody else's blog or website and put it as your own. Because trust me, those tools will find you, and there's some massive fines actually that you could be assessed for stealing somebody else's content. Okay? Same applies with pictures. If you're going to go and post a picture of, just you know what, let's say you're a dentist and you're looking for, you know, like pictures of dentures, and you just go Google dentures. Okay? Don't assume that you can just take any picture that comes up. You cannot, because the owner of that photograph has the rights to the picture. Okay? And they have tools to determine if their picture is being used somewhere else on the internet. So make sure that the picture is stated that you can use it for free, and if not, always make sure you quote the source. Give credit to the owner of that photograph so you don't get in trouble. Okay? You always want to make it interesting, educational, keep it simple. Okay? Don't write too technically, because that turns people off. You should write, they say, aim for like grade 6. Emotions will carry you a long way when you write your content, and give a little. So you want to sell, you want to create value, you have to give a little something. It's like coming to a networking event at the chamber. You don't just shove your business card in somebody else's hand and hope that they're going to call you. So that's not going to work. That's not networking. That's not being social. You have to give a little. Maybe give a little advice. So in your blog, you give advice. In your posts, you let them in on tips on how to use your products or services. So you need to give. Okay? Number 5, trust me, your competitors understand algorithms. Algorithms, basically, if you look up the definition of algorithm, it's a mathematical equation. And Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of these social channels use algorithm. Okay? I often hear local businesses tell me, I have 100 fans. I have 500 fans or followers to my Facebook page, and I post once a week. That's all I need to do. I post for my business 3 times a day. And when I tell my customers that that's what we need to be doing, they go, oh my God, 3 times a day? That's a lot. People are going to get sick and tired of seeing my posts 3 times a day. I don't want to annoy them. I've got news for you. Your post is only going to be seen by about 2% of your fans. Only 2%. That's because of algorithms. Okay? So your post once a week, 100 fans, only 2% are going to see that. You're not going to get very far. So that's why frequency is important. That's why engaging content is extremely important. Because that 2% can go to 4 and 10% if your posts get engagement. So we all know on Facebook or LinkedIn, there's the like button. So you see a post, you like it. That's nice. Basically, you're giving somebody a pat on the back publicly. There's the comment, and then there's the share button. Not as many people use that because now it's that extra work, that extra step you have to take, and now you're giving comments publicly for anybody to see, so not as many people see it. But trust me, the like is nice. The minute that you make a comment on somebody's post, now you've really helped them. But if you share that post, that's what you want. That's the ultimate goal of your post, is you want people to share it. Because now if they have 100 followers, your post could potentially be seen by those 1,000 followers. That's what you're aiming for. Okay, so that's why frequency and good posts are so important. Because I get 10 likes on my post, that's nice, but you want them to share it. Yes, sir.
Does that 2% algorithm count on that 1,000 people that are on the person's site?
Sorry, say that again?
Well, you said that there was a 2% you post and there was 2% see it. Now, when they share it, there's 2% see it.
So what happens, so let's say I post something at 8 a.m. this morning, and I have 100 fans, okay? 2%, around 2% of my fans are going to see it in their timeline. Now, let's say it's a great post, and somebody goes and shares it and comments on it, and a few people like it. Facebook goes, oh, that must be a really good post. So they're going to take my post that I did at 8 a.m. and show it to more people in my fan base. So now I might have gone from 2% to 5% of my fans have seen it. Now, out of that new 5% that are just seeing it, they go, wow, that one is going really far. Now they're going to display to more of my fans. So the more engagement you get on that post, the more it will be displayed to people in your fans. So as an example, I have customers that I manage their social media for, and I'll make a post at 8 a.m., and I'll look at other pages that I manage, and I'll see that post I made for business A, and I'll see on business C's social media. But I don't see it on another one of my clients because they were not part of that 2%. But the minute that I get engagement on my post here, all of a sudden I see it. So my 8 a.m. post could be seen at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because throughout the day, I got a lot of hits on it and engagements. Now Facebook shows it to more people, but it's later in the day. So engagement is always the key. Okay? So did I answer your question?
Yes, it did. Our problem, we have also quite a few of our staff like our posts. Is that a problem?
What do you mean?
Like they have Facebook, individual Facebook.
Yeah.
Joanne's place post goes on to their Facebook, they like it.
Yeah.
For their staff.
That's okay. Facebook doesn't really know that, so it's okay if they. But you know what? If you as a business post something and all of a sudden the 3 likes are 3 of your employees, guess what? The rest of us who are following your page are going to see that. We're going to say, oh, there they are again, all employees liking their posts. So it's not something you want to do, really. It's okay occasionally, but it can't always be your employees liking your posts. You want the rest of the fans to do it.
So it does increase the percentage, but then from a visual perspective, then me looking at it might say, well, they're really trying to eat their chest about how good they are, but I don't see any customers doing it.
Yeah, good point.
Yes. So how does Facebook choose the original 2%?
So Facebook chooses, basically they look at your past posting history. So I'll give you an example. So I have, you know what, like I said, I post 3 times a day, every day of the week, business days, sorry. So let's say I posted something on Monday morning and I got a lot of engagement and Facebook shows it to more people, it grows and grows. So now my post on Tuesday, initially Facebook would say, well, she had really good success yesterday with her post. So on Tuesday, they're probably going to give it a good run with maybe even more 2%. But if all of a sudden that post tanks, nobody likes or shares it, and not getting any engagement on it, Facebook goes, wow, that wasn't so good today. So Wednesday's post, guess what? They're only going to go show it to 2% only. Okay? And so that's one thing they look at is my previous history, my engagement history. They look at what you also look at. Right? So if you follow a lot of pages about travel because you're thinking of going on a trip somewhere in February, Facebook knows that, and they're more likely to show you posts from people that you follow based on travel. So doesn't it feel weird sometimes? You know, you've been looking at something, you're investigating something, so maybe you're thinking of buying a new car, and you go on the Toyota website, okay? And I'm interested in the Venza, and I really like, you know what, the blue Venza. Guess what, Toyota knows that. And they can remarket back to me. So I might go on my Facebook page, and all of a sudden I see a blue Toyota Venza on my timeline. I go to CNN to read the news, and all of a sudden, Toyota Venza, in blue at the top of the page. Okay? Toyota is actually paying Facebook and these other websites to remarket back to the same ones on their website, looking at the blue Toyota Venza. Okay? So Facebook knows what you've been liking and engaging with on past posts, and that's what they'll select to show you, to decide who they're going to see the 2%. Make sense? Okay. So you need to understand that, because it's basically like a Russian roulette, or, you know, it's like going to Vegas. You know what? You're playing the odds. So to beat the odds, you need to post frequently, regularly. Don't post for 2 weeks and be very active, and all of a sudden 2 months you go completely silent. Not good. So figure out when your clients are online, okay? Start posting them, start interacting and networking with people on social media during those times, and keep it consistent. So figure out what that schedule is and keep it consistent. A lot of people, oh my God, this is going to become a full-time job. How am I going to do that and run my business? Guess what? You should not do this for more than an hour per day. If you are, okay, you're too engaged with this. So you need to figure out what it is that you need to do, come up with a plan and stick to that plan. And if it's not working, tweak it accordingly. But don't spend hours and hours on this. And don't think that you need to walk out of here and go set up Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. No. Okay? Start with one and get real good at it. Add a second, a third. But do your research and make sure that's where your customers are. Okay? I only use LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook for my business. That's it. I'm not on Pinterest. I'm not anywhere else, because I know that's where my customers are. So then I go, oh my God, Christine, 3 times a day, where am I going to find all this information to post? Well, one, you're going to be creating some, so you could be taking information from your business's website and repurposing that as a post on social media. But there is a rule of 411 as far as your posts are concerned, because you can't just be pushing out your products. You don't come here and say to everybody in this room, this is what I do, this is what I do. You try and mix things up and be a little bit more creative and social. You need to do the same thing online. So the 411 rule is, for every 6 posts, 4 of your posts are going to be curated content. So articles that you're going to find somewhere else that are interesting, that add value, okay, and that people would want to read. Okay? You're going to take that article and you're going to post that, because it's okay to do that. The reason people publish online is they want it to be shared. That's what you're doing. You're doing them a favor. So these tools that I have listed here are all free tools that you can set up on your computer or your mobile device, iPad, whatever you're using, and look for content. So Zeit and Flipboard, just about a month or so ago, they combined their platform together. So don't look for Zeit, look for Flipboard. Amazing, amazing tool. You can set it up on mobile or desktop. And what you do is you set up your account, and then you enter the topics you want to follow. Okay? So as an example, one of my clients is a deck building supply company. So I am always looking for posts for their business. So I follow topics like deck building trends, wood, like anything that's related to deck building. And these articles just come up all day long. Anything that gets posted online gets captured and displayed on Flipboard.
And Flipboard's just announced that they have more targeted advertising now too. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. They want advertising revenue. And so when you're looking for that deck building article and it comes up, well, along the margin or along the page, someplace you're going to get an ad on the appropriate materials for deck building. And it's going to be a localized ad. So it's And that's just one of the latest things that I said earlier about staying abreast with what the trends are. And similarly, what your competitors are doing too. You may find your competitors' ads on that article that you're reading as well.
So take a look at Flipboard. It's incredible what you can get out of it. And if you subscribe to any magazines like Chatelaine or McLean's or whatever, cancel your subscription because you can get it all here for free. All right? It's all online. So basically you're creating yourself a digital magazine. And what I do is, if I'm watching TV or I'm in between appointments, I just go through my Flipboard and I look for articles that would be of interest for my clients. Okay? But then I don't have necessarily the time to post everything right now. Right? I'm watching the Blue Jays game lose tonight. I see 10 articles that I want to post in the next week. Okay? So what I do is I have Pocket also set up. So think of your articles that you just found that are great. What am I going to do with them right now? Instead of, saving the page in your bookmarks, send them to Pocket. And it's exactly what it is. It's a Pocket to save all of your electronic articles. And when you're ready to post, you just go to Pocket and they're all there. Okay? All free tools. So this is how you're going to find that content to post, those 4 posts. The 5th post out of the 6 is going to be something personal. When I say personal, I'm not talking about taking a picture of your lunch and putting it on Facebook, on your Facebook business page or LinkedIn. I'm talking about you're attending this great event here today, okay? Put a post out there, attending, social media training at the Peterborough Chamber of Commerce. Tag the chamber on it, okay? That's a personal post, but it's a personal business post. And then the 6th one is now there's your chance to sell your products or services. So 411, 4 articles you're sharing that are of interest to your fans. 1 is a personal business update, and the 6th is products or services related. So now you have a good mix of posts, so people are not going to get tired of seeing what you're posting. Okay, 411. And I can tell you out of the 3 different types of posts you're going to put up there, that the personal/business posts are probably going to get the most engagement. Because guess what? Your customers want to see what you're up to. They want to see you at a convention upgrading your skills or learning something new that will help you help them. So post those things. Okay? Number 7, online advertising. We all go to a page now, doesn't matter what we're searching for. Italian restaurant in Peterborough, orthodontist in Peterborough. Doesn't matter what you're looking for, there's going to be ads on every page. So does anybody not know or see those ads come up? Essentially, you can identify them by that little yellow or gold box that says ad. They always appear at the top. Sometimes they appear on the right-hand side, and sometimes at the very bottom of the page. Okay? And think of it as an auction. So you decide what your ad's going to say, and it's got to be very short because you don't have a lot of room here. Okay? You decide how much you want to spend. You decide how long you want your ad to appear. You're in total control here. The beauty of this is your ad's going to appear at the very top of the page. So if you're a dentist in Peterborough, and all of a sudden your ad appears here, okay? Guess what? You don't pay a penny until somebody clicks on that ad. And guess what? Only 2% of people actually click on ads. So now all of a sudden, you're appearing on page 1, and it could cost you literally pennies. It could cost you anything. Okay? So Google Ads or AdWords, something to look at. You would be amazed at how much how much exposure $50 will get you. Okay? If you have thousands of dollars to do it, great. But for a small local business, it could go a long way. Now, there's businesses that are very competitive. If you're a lawyer, forget it. Because bidding on lawyers' ads is very expensive. If you're in real estate, actually the ads for real estate are the most expensive. So real estate, lawyers, insurance companies. But if you're in any other business, guarantee you can do something very competitively. I want to talk a little bit about Google Plus. And people go, oh my God, Google Plus, I hear it's dying. Why should I go on there? It's another place I have to go and check and post, and all of a sudden it's not fans and followers anymore, it's circles. What does that mean? So it's a completely different world. But think of Google Plus as the Facebook owned by Google. And here's the difference between the two. So Google looks at everything that's online and indexes it, okay? Because they want to know what's on each page. And that makes them decide if they're going to show your page or not in a search. Okay, it's indexed. Things that happen on Facebook are not indexed by Google. Google can see that you're active on your business Facebook page, which is great because it sends signals to Google, but they can't tell what you're posting. They have no idea what that content is because they cannot view into Facebook. So your posts are not indexed. Google Plus, on the other hand, is owned by Google. So guess what? Every post you make on Google Plus is indexed. Every post that you make becomes a website because you get a specific URL for each post on Google Plus. So imagine that you post once a day, how your online presence is just going to explode. That's the beauty of Google Plus. Okay? Yes?
Would you suggest that to eliminate creating new content, would you post exactly what you're posting on Facebook and then just go to Google Plus and post the same thing? So you're just doing it twice, not creating two sets of
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I do. That's what I do for a lot of my clients. Yeah.
To your point, what do you use this for multiple leads, who's leading, so what's your,
I use Hootsuite. Yeah.
so you do all that, and you do plus in that?
Yeah.
So Hootsuite is a tool that you can use that will allow you to distribute your social posts and content and so forth across multiple platforms with a click of a button. You can also schedule it. You can also have Hootsuite monitor what your competition is doing and what other feeds are doing as well.
So Hootsuite is free for up to 3 social media channels. So you can sign up, it doesn't cost you anything, so you can have Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter for free. But if you need to add more social channels, then you have to pay. You can contact Peter because he can actually set you up on Hootsuite and support you on Hootsuite.
Here's one quick question.
Yeah.
Does it matter for Google Plus how many followers you have, or is it post?
I'm going to get into that a little bit in a minute, but just to stay on the track of Hootsuite, so imagine the power of Hootsuite and Twitter to be able to track what your competitors are doing. I helped a candidate in last year's municipal election. He was running for mayor, and he was invited to attend a meeting, and we knew it was going to be very controversial. He didn't really want to be there because we knew it was just going to be a fight. But we wanted to know what was going on in the meeting. So using Hootsuite, I was able to track every tweet that came out of that building by using the GPS coordinates of the address. So I took the GPS coordinates, threw it into Hootsuite, and I just started watching the tweets that were coming from that specific address. Because guess what? Most likely when you're tweeting, you're basically broadcasting where you're located. You might not realize it, but that's what's happening. So you're able to track things that are going on in specific locations without being there. You're maybe going to a large convention that has to do with your industry, and you know you can't hit every booth and talk to everybody. So why not monitor all the tweets that are coming out of that convention center? And then jump in the conversations appropriately. Okay? So great tools. I mean, sometimes we think social media is to broadcast what we do, but I find there's specific tools like Twitter are great listening tools, more than to broadcast. Okay? So going back on Google Plus, so every time you post, basically it assigns you a new URL. So it's a new page online. So now you're expanding your online presence massively. Okay? Now, sorry, what's your question again?
I was just curious about whether or not the URL assignment had anything to do with the number of likes you might have on this page, or whether you could really be talking to no one.
So what happens? All right, so that's a great question. So when you post on Google Plus, because Google indexes every post, okay? So here I've got a slide actually of one of my clients, Brinkley Dental Group in Brampton, okay? So we post his blog, and it's called Tooth Talk. So Tooth Talk with #Brampton, okay? So now if I'm on Google and I search just for Brampton, guess what's going to come up? I'm not looking for a dentist, I'm just looking for things in Brampton in general. Just because Google has indexed every single post, and I've made it very specific by using hashtags. Okay? So that's the beauty and power of Google Plus. Okay?
Google owns 80% of the world's search.
Yeah. So very, very powerful. And what happens is, you know what, you might not have, so if I look at, actually I think it's on the next page, he has 13 followers, but he's had 6,000 views. When I took that shot, he had 6,000 views of some of his posts. Just because people are searching for a specific word in Google, and his post comes up, because he's on Google+. Okay, so very misunderstood, but very powerful. Now we've got like 5 minutes, so I'm going to try and, we've only got a few more tips. So we've all seen things evolve on how we purchase things. If you think back 10, 15 years ago, you needed a new car, a new TV, or you didn't know where to go on vacation, what did you do? All right, you asked some friends, what kind of TV do you have? Do you like it? Where did you go for your vacation last year? Blah, blah. You get references and reviews from your friends and family, and then you try to make your decision, look at brochures and so on, go to the store. Okay, that's how you amass your information, your intelligence. Today, we go online and figure it out. 80% of our decision-making process is now done online. 80%. Okay? Once we've done our research, we usually narrow it down to 2 or 3 selections, 2 or 3 different TVs, and then I walk into the store and talk to a sales rep at Best Buy and figure out which one I'm going to buy out of the 2. But Western helping people making that 80% of their decision is reviews. So I'll go on TripAdvisor to look at, resort reviews. I look at all kinds of sites for reviews. And Google allows people to leave reviews about your business. Okay? So you need to encourage your clients to give you reviews because you have no idea how powerful this is. Okay? So when somebody gives you a compliment about how great you did for them, how you helped them, this is your opportune time to say, well, I really appreciate the feedback, but you know what would really help me is if you took 2 minutes and left me a Google review. Huge, 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 huge. Okay? So now basically people are publicly saying, this is the place to go if you need dental work or whatever. And those reviews become extremely important in a search. So now we've done a search here for dentists in Peterborough. And this is the first page that comes up. So let me explain to you what comes up on the page. So we've talked about ads already. Very top, on the right-hand side, these are all ads. All these dentists are paying to be here if somebody clicks on their ad. Okay? The next thing that now Google shows up, doesn't matter what you're looking for, the next thing they're going to show you is what they call the Google 3-pack. Okay? So they're going to display to you the map, because they know where you're located when you do your search. Right? You don't even need to put Peterborough. We could have just done dentist, and Google automatically would have shown me dentists in Peterborough, saying I'm doing my search in Peterborough. Okay? So they show you the map, and then they show you 3 dentists in the area. You can see the pin on the map, so you can see where they are located. This used to be Google's 7-pack. So Google used to show you 7 businesses here. About a month and a half ago, they switched it to 3. So now your chance of appearing in this have drastically been reduced. The only way you're going to appear here is if you have reviews. So you need to get the reviews. The more reviews you have, the more likely you're going to appear here. Okay? So it used to be that if you were a dentist in a smaller city, 7 dentists, you know what, the odds are you would appear on page 1 just because there was not that many. But now there's only 3 spots. So you need to fight for that spot. So reviews is what will get you there. So make sure you have a full Google Plus profile and get reviews. So it's extremely important you get those reviews. And if you did that search on a mobile device, okay, then you would see obviously the map based on where you're located, and then Google makes it very easy for people to call you. All right? You'll see call now button. That's what you want. Somebody's out in the car, they're looking for an Italian restaurant because they're hungry, they've been out shopping and it's lunchtime and I want Italian, and I look for Italian restaurant. You know what, Google shows me the top 3 restaurants, Italian restaurants in Peterborough. All right, I want to know if they're open, or I want to make a reservation, there's a call button. Make it easy for your clients to get in touch with you, okay? Because if they have to take one extra step to look up your phone number or address, you've lost them, okay? They say a goldfish attention span is 9 seconds. Guess what a human's attention span is? 8 seconds. So if you're making them do those extra steps, you're going to lose them. So make it easy. Have a Google Plus listing. Have a Google My Business listing. Okay? These are all things that will appear in a search that gets you found. Okay? So that's my tip number 9. And I'm going to go to tip number 10. Network and follow up. So you come here today or at any other events, whether it be breakfast or business after hours, you network. You're social with people. You exchange business cards. You offer advice. Okay? You need to do the same thing on social media. Exact same thing. It's not just about you posting. You need to be social. You need to follow pages of other local businesses because it helps them. And guess what? They're going to follow you back. It's all about, and I have a hard time saying that, reciprocity. Thank you. That's what you need to do. That's what social is being about. And these are all tools. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, they're all tools. I've shared a bunch of tips with you, and there's a lot more, trust me. But the biggest tip that I can leave with you is that social media is just a tool. Okay? And there's nothing to get business or close business like sitting down with somebody across the table, shaking hands and looking at them in the eyes to solidify that relationship. So don't think that you can sit behind your desk for 3 hours a day and get business. It does not work like that. You have to mix the two. And that's why we have great organizations like the Chamber to basically give you facilities to do that. So you need to combine the two. But the two work very, very well together. Okay? So it's 1 o'clock. There's a few other slides, but you're all going to get this deck so you can see because there's links to some really good tools that will help you with your online presence. So go take a look at them. If you have any questions, Peter and I are going to stay for a little bit. Feel free to come and see us. Reach out to Peter. He can get you details. Sometimes it's just, a user guide. I find that, I need to know how to do this. Well, we go and spend an hour trying to figure out the information. Well, reach out to one of us. Usually we have them bookmarked and we can send it to you in 2 minutes. Okay? So Peter's your resource. Use them.
Christine,